let's see here. I don't need that. I don't need Excel. I don't need Fortnite. There we go. I updated my Fortnite this morning. So, yeah, I hate it for you, Kevin. You know, I know. Just make sure you don't allow this to get out of control. Like, I don't blame people for being short this week. Just don't let it get out of control. And you know, obviously it's good to just don't revenge trade. You know what you're doing. I wanna make sure that you're okay. How's non-farm? Came in lower, much lower, and it launched. Nasdaq climbed about 120 points, and ES went up about 30. There's your disclaimer. Nice, Robert. Beautiful. All right, there's the market open. And I think it goes safe to say that pretty much everything is green. Funnily enough, XLK is red. That's because of Apple got smoked. Tesla is up 1.6, Meta's up 1.6. Everything up is above 0.5%. But Apple is 1.88% red. Yeah, XLK is red though. For the first time ever, we are above my macro levels. We have exceeded the boundaries of my macro levels. So, yeah, we're in uncharted territory here. $43.69 right here. ES Nasdaq is climbing. We have liquidity 43.50. Now, we do have a bit of liquidity up to 4,400 here. In fact, not even a bit, a good amount. Now, 200 levels really aren't that big. They are definitely levels I want to pay attention to, but they're like the beginning stages of liquidity that I want to start to look at. But they are laddering liquidity up to 4,400. We got 43, 65, 75, 80, 85, 95, 4,400, and they're even stacking 44.20 here, and all the way up to 44.50. So there's plenty of liquidity to the upside here. Now there's also plenty of liquidity to the downside. We still have a phenomenal amount of liquidity all the way down to 42.75. Even all the way down to 4,000. Obviously, it's silly. The one thing I want to caution you on is, just like last week, that we're not getting euphoric on crashing to the earth. I don't want y'all to jump on the bandwagon of to the moon just yet. This is too quick of a move, too fast for us to be jumping on the all-time high bandwagon. So just play it as it comes. Play your calls, just like we played our puts last week, and just keep a cool head. This is incredible volatility to the upside and downside, which is what happens with these markets. Yeah, Toolman, those would be great pivots to look for. Yeah, well done. Yeah, definitely. Little impromptu pivots there. You think TLT is going to hit 90? It certainly could. That's a big move for TLT. You're talking about 2-3% from here for TLT. Yeah, so TLT, obviously the play is going to go up to 150. So we're still talking about 80% upside on that position long term. So definitely looking likely like that thing is going to go. DXY got smoked. Yeah, everything right now has been undone. Kind of like what Kamala Harris has been telling about this all, for forever. What has been, or what can be, unburdened by what has been. That's what she's been telling us. What can be. And what we're seeing here is the yields absolutely crater. The bonds rocket. I mean, look at the 30-year, or the 30-year yields. It went from like 5.1 and now it's what, 4.8? Ridiculous. So 4.7 now, 4.68. All right, so the liquidity, the IV this morning wasn't really all that crazy, which is why I didn't come on for non-farm payroll. It was only like 27%, 26%. We got a net 20% move for non-farm payroll, and now a little bit higher. So, yeah, the 10-year went down to 4.5. It's crazy. That's a big old move. So it's crazy. What's up, Ponzi? How you doing? I don't know what all that means. American flag, utopia, peace sign. There you go. Question from FOMC closed. The moves seem to happen after hours. Do you think that's new normal for FOMC? Well, there's not really a normal for FOMC. I mean, if you go back and look at all the FOMCs, it's pretty erratic. You know, sometimes the move, most of the time, the move happens after he starts talking. Sometimes they reverse the move altogether the very next day. Obviously, that didn't happen this time. It's just crazy. 250% return on a lotto call. Nice ad, Astra. Ape strong together. Nothing is normal anymore. Yeah, that I think. I mean, I don't know if you said that in jest or not, but it's exactly true. Is that nothing is normal, and that's the big theme here. Is that expect nothing, and just play the volatility. This is obscene. Look at the weekly chart. It's the fourth largest green weekly candle in 3 years. It's absolutely obscene. Every single day is just up higher. Someone out there became a millionaire this week because they took some crazy outside the money call and turned $1,000 into like 1.4 million. It ain't me. Yeah. All right, 43.50 is main liquidity. CVD is red. NASDAQ is down to 15,087. Man, Microsoft is getting pummeled. Big sell-off on Microsoft. Apple, funnily enough, is the only green one right now in terms of price action. Fend the reminder news in 10 minutes, yeah. L isn't here anymore. Perhaps our millionaire. What do you mean L isn't here anymore? Like he left? He left the server? No way he left. No. I was about to say, I didn't get a notification that he canceled his account. Couldn't tag him. No, he's there. I could tag him. No, he's still here. You scared me there for a second. We need our 3,000% calls. He blocked you. I love it. It's a fifth green day in a row. I'm guessing we break the cycle of Green Monday. I don't know, man. This is a freight train. Don't step in front of it until you see it starting to derail. Once you see it derailing off the rails, then short it. Until then, don't get in front of this freight train. Some Elliott Wave dudes have some crazy charts. They do, yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Elliott Wave. So my daughter the other day asked me if there's any Thanksgiving songs because she knows that everyone listens to Christmas songs. So she searched for Thanksgiving songs on Spotify and found this one goofy song, and it's been stuck in my head for like a week. She's been listening to it on repeat. Now it's called Gobble Gobble on Spotify by Matthew West. We can sing along. Yeah. I don't understand how Elliott Wave works, how you're supposed to predict the price from lines. You can't. It's all pattern recognition. That's all it is. Yeah, Adam Sandler stuff is great. All right, 43.63 on ES. NASDAQ is 15.06. Tech is, overall, tech is dripping off here, except for Apple. Apple's going up. VIX is down to 15.20, about to break into the 14s. Full on mean reversion. We're almost at the target for mean reversion here for the VIX. Yeah. Crazy stuff. We do have data here in about 12 minutes. Interesting topics on NASDAQ for a short. I don't know. I'm not shorting this thing just yet. I'm going to be very patient with this. This thing, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We will see. No shorts until you get lower lows, and yeah, there you go. Can you explain mean reversion for a toddler like me? um, I'm always a fan of of self-deprecation. I'm in the same boat. Um, yeah, mean reversion. So that's what I talk about in terms of volatility, because obviously there is no price action that you can analyze on VIX. VIX is not traded, so you can't do price action analysis on the VIX. It's simply a calculation of option chain activity. What you can do is focus on mean reversion on the VIX. And that's all a derivative of hedging. Because as the markets move in cycles and the dealers have to hedge off and on given the price action, given their delta positioning on their portfolios, that's where you can watch the VIX to rocket 22 and then come off. That is why is my check. Y'all hear me? Check. Like my microphone went like mute. All right. That is why the VIX. That's why the VIX, if you go look on the daily chart, there is a place where the VIX always returns to. Now, right now, that's about 14. If you look on the VIX daily chart now, nearly every single time it falls off that 20 level, it reverts back down to 14 and then bounces and goes higher. And it's not because they're buying the VIX at 14, because you can't buy the VIX at 14. It returns to the VIX at 14 because that is the mean on which is a derivative of the big fancy goodwill hunting written on the chalkboard equation that is the VIX. And right now we are cratering as fast as humanly possible to that 14 mean reversion. Now I'm surprised, me personally, that they rocketed this thing to 20 and then held above 20 and then mean reverted without spiking. Because usually when we finally hold over a certain level, they have one big like blast off on the VIX before we mean revert, but they did it just above 20. And here we are at 15.11 on the VIX, and one more dollar on the VIX, one more point on the VIX, I should say, and we'll be complete on the mean reversion. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to long the VIX, because the VIX can stay at a certain range for a while ES is going up and up and up and up. That just all the VIX are maintaining at 14 just means that they're no longer positioning for downside or hedging for downside yet, until you start to see the VIX start to climb. That's why I'm not a fan in this environment of playing long VIX. In the world of long-term investing, applied over the course of years, shorting the volatility index through the futures is one of the more consistent plays you could do long term if you're looking to drive income. Now, you don't want to do it in this neck of the woods, because at any point we could wake up to the VIX at 30 with any kind of war. It's very, very delicate position to carry. But in a normal bull market, any spike on the VIX, you short the VIX futures, you hold it for a week, and you could get some income. Now, you're not going to see mean reversions from 20 down to 14 like this time, but you could see constant, 2 or 3 point moves in the 2018 environment, which is what we're going to be playing towards when it's all said and done. Am I in a trade? Currently not in a trade. No. Well, I guess technically I am. I've got 4,100 puts that are blown out. Yeah, they're worthless now, but no, I'm not in a trade. Why not sell a PDS on the VIX if and when it reaches a 14 level directional trade? You're talking about PCS? Not a bad idea. It's not a terrible idea. I don't see the VIX going below 14 if you can get some premium for it. All right, we just wiped through 43.65. 43.75 is next. They've got 43.80. If you look on the charts, we have not had a single retracement since Wednesday since FOMC on Wednesday. We haven't had a single retracement. So that's literally going on about 40 hours straight of buying. It's insane. 43.70 here on ES, still going. Then you don't worry about IV on the options if using a spread. There you go. I switched to 1D to EZB Commer. Nice. Nobody wants to buy my 0.01 bid on these puts. Yeah. Yeah. But hey, if we manage to get a 260-point sell-off today, I may break even on the puts. I can keep my fingers crossed, right? I love it. I love it. All right. We've got, man, this thing is still freaking going. 15,100 on NASDAQ and going up. And we are up about 150 points. 938. 170 points. 180 points already on NASDAQ from the pivot. And it's absolutely obscene. She's just going. I didn't want to play calls right out of the gate. I just wanted to kind of chill. But, man, this thing's just going. It's not even waiting for data. It's just going. It's obscene. VIX is rolling all the way back off, about to hit to the 14s. Yeah, we have data at 10 o'clock as well. Yeah, we've got services PMI at 9:45, which was a minute ago, and we have manufacturing PMI at 10 o'clock. And that'll be it for data. All right. Apple's trying to go green, isn't it? Yeah, it's only down 1.5 after being down, I think, 4.5% yesterday, roughly. So huge recovery on Apple. Unfortunately, anyone who took options on Apple did not make money unless you're shorting them. Hashtag Theta. 15,150 is top level. 43.75, 43.80. Still climbing up here. Let me take a look at the data. Although unless they're building new exposure on the option chain, we are so far above any major exposure, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, PMI came in lower, which should be bearish for the DXY. $439 is the top delta today. 439. How long do you expect MMs will take to rebalance? Several days. I mean, they'll roll everything off, and then we'll reposition for Monday. But this is at this point we're in a complete vanna right now. This is just volatility is absolutely destroyed, and they've absolutely launched this position. They've rolled off every single position that was hedged for downside, and this is just launching. It's just there's no other way to put it except obscene. It's just going. So who knows? It's blown through every single level, options or pivot on the chart. Otherwise, the only thing that was respected on this chart was Friday afternoon. We bounced off the POC on the daily, almost too perfectly, and then it's been straight up since. So at this point, just keep on buying calls and longing until it starts to top wick, and then set your trailing stops, because this is just ridiculous. Blow off top here. What should we make of the data being so much lower, like a rug pull? I don't know. The data this week has been all down, and we kept going up, so it's just been obscene. Do I think George Soros is behind this move? Who knows? Who knows? Literally have watched from 409 to 434 and haven't taken a single call. It really confused me this week. Well, don't kick yourself for it. These moves aren't easy. So these moves aren't. This is not an easy market to trade. So don't kick yourself. I've taken a couple of scalp calls and stuff like that. Netted in a little bit of profit. I haven't taken anything substantial. So don't hate. There's a lot of people posting losses on Twitter. It happens. I'd be curious to hear more thoughts on your macro R5. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So the macro R5 was one that I did not see us going through this week. No, it's not bias. It's not bias. The market is not designed to, like, this is not normal market behavior. Bias would be if you're just constantly trying to short everything. You know, I understand that's bias, but this being difficult is not bias. This being difficult is the fact that it's just going up and squeezing every day, and there's no real good retracements to enter. So VPA seems to have no pullback to really take this trade without confidence. Yeah, that's the issue, is that there's no real good VPA analysis here other than just take calls and set a trailing stop. That's all you can do. Trust me, I'm all for fighting bias, but I don't want to just blindly blanket claim bias when people say that this is difficult. The 1 minute 21 EMA. I'm just looking forward to this weekend in Niagara Falls, Canada. Like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, Canada is one of the Canada side of the Niagara Falls is way better than the United States side. 100%, 1,000 times better. So, all right, 43.74 still going up. Nasdaq is still climbing here too. 15.130. We got 43.80 up top. Nasdaq looks like it wants that 15.150, which is 25 points higher. We don't get a 3% day on SPY, but we get a +3 on R2K. Yeah. Yep. Well, what really got me this week is the fact that we did not have any consolidation. We did not have a buying climax. We did not have a bottom wick. We didn't even have a spike in volume. In fact, volume dropped into the bounce. So this was all volatility crush in Vanna. This was not accumulation. This was not institutional buying. This was literally, I mean, the volume never even spiked. In fact, we have less than average volume on this move the entire way. So this was all the fact that crushing volatility, and then this market just freaking launched. And that's the best I could do it. You know, obviously, I'm sure there's some to it behind the scenes. But in this nature of this market, this thing whips on like this, just it's extreme volatility. And it's going to get everyone. Michael Gayed, once again, it's going to screw over the Bulls and the Bears, both people. $15,130 here. So up to $15,150. You had high volume low on the daily on Thursday of last week. That's what I keyed up on. Let's see. High volume. Yeah, we did have high volume, but it was all selling, and there was no bottom wick. So if I saw a high volume with buyer stepping in with a bit of a recovery, yeah, but that was a pretty extremely bearish candle. So the next candle wasn't even a bottom wick. It just sold all the way off into the POC. So the only thing I really caught on to there was the POC, and we didn't accumulate. We literally just bounced off the POC and just kept going. There was no retracement. There was no retest. There was no accumulation. We just went. With super high IV, would a swing strangle work? I mean, in this market, going up every day like this, yeah, it would. When it just goes straight up, yeah, it definitely a strangle would work because the call would just continue to eat and eat and eat. But you know, you obviously have the risk of this stopping. Yeah, I mean, a recovery was definitely expected, which was what I was looking for into Wednesday. But nobody expected this type of move. Like this, you don't expect 5 days or 48 hours of straight buying like this. Like that's the key I'm looking at. Could you have token take it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to be very delicate with iron condors and credit spreads in this environment anyway. And this it's because of these type of things that the market just goes crazy. 43.74. My TLT call premium is jumping all over the place. Yeah, that's a good observation, Troy. Is that this is nearly the exact candle from November 7th of 2022. So just an absolute insane candle. I think that was a 270 point candle on weekly, and this one is doing its best to match it. I think we're at 130 points, 230 points now. So we would have to hit 44.10 to kind of match that candle from last November, which I guess could happen today. It's only 40 more points, and there's no selling in sight still. I don't know. I guess we take calls and set trailing stops. I mean, there's no pullback here. Man, am I scared to long this? Yeah, I feel you. Somebody posted yesterday on RSI, which I don't use RSI in this market, but we are now more overbought on the RSI than we were oversold on the RSI last week. That's how obscene this move is. Just absolute whipsaw. All right, 15,150. NASDAQ is about to tap that. ES has 43.80. They removed 43.50 and just kind of putting on to 4,400 here, still going. Now, this is some pretty high volume buying here. It's been maintaining. So this right here, this high volume stuff, which this is a unique open. We haven't had an open like this. Even with all this bullishness, this is the strongest open of the week. All candles here are high volume and they're maintaining the first half hour of the day. They're not selling off. So this is the strongest open of the week so far. J-Pow's going to soft land us like the movie Deep Impact. VIX is holding 15.18. Yeah, I would just be cautious on shorts. Don't I know it's a lot of people's natural look to try to short this, but do not short it until you see the signs. Just keep on playing the upside. Set your trailing stops until it reaches a point where it tells you to short it. Because I mean, this is just it's out of control. It's just going, going, going. So there is no analysis to be had on this. Just play long and then set your stops. The markets are silly, and today it's being a silly goose. Yeah, yeah. I mean, nothing about the economy has improved. So yeah, I mean, that stuff is still a disaster. But the market is obviously not attached to the economy. It's liquidity. Silly goose movement. And maybe scary to long this, but to short is even scarier. Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. Yeah, we have news in 2 minutes. It's the manufacturing data point. Alrighty. How does Gex look for next week? It's pretty balanced for Monday. All around about It's I don't. What's unique about this is that we have extended so far that all of the data is lower. Literally right now, the Gex chart is pretty much useless right now to me because everything is like 416, 410, 407, 421. It's all 20 points lower, 30 points lower than where it is because we've had such a big move and they haven't really adjusted or rolled liquidity yet. So there's not really much to derive from next week's options chain activity in terms of the Gex. New high of the day again, still going, 43.80. Friday has 456 on SPY. New high of the day still going. There's the data, top of the hour. Did we just tap that liquidity up there? Yeah, it's crazy. Still going. $456 on SPY. Friday has 456 on SPY. Yeah, but everything else is pretty balanced and it's way, 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 way lower. Big old top wick there. Are we ever going to get a pullback? Yeah. That my goal coming into today, because I have to, me running this community, I have to set my strategy of how I'm going to approach these type of moves. And my goal today was to chill y'all out. Because I knew there were going to be people taking victory laps and there's going to be people that are in the hole too because they're getting smoked. So I want to chill y'all out. Like this is volatility. This is what volatility looks like. Like we're not going all-time highs. We're not going to 3,000 this year. So y'all just chill out. This is what a volatile bear market looks like. Insane price action up and down. Play it. Don't be the jabronis on Twitter. So, yeah, bear market. We're in a bear market. All right, what is this data post? ISM manufacturing came in, the prices came in hot. PMI came in low. Yeah, be happy we have this volatility. Great point. All right, let's see here. Indicates the manufacturing sector is generally expanding. So the manufacturing sector is expanding. I accidentally took a put before that pop and got lucky and closed out. Nice. I love when that happens. Couple of top wicks here. Let's see what's going to happen with this NASDAQ. A little bit of whipsaw going all over the place here. Can you explain why we're in a bear market? Volatility. I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm not holding shorts, so don't get me wrong. It's just a talking point. But volatility. Bull markets do not sell off 1,000 points in 3 months. Just doesn't happen. Multiple times. Doesn't happen. Top wick coming down a little bit of retracement. We have a little bit of red, just a little. 43.73. That's the highest volume candle of the day right there too. They removed this 15.07. 15.200 is up top. 43.70, 43.50, 4400 up top. Let's see. We do have a couple of trend lines to deal with here. We have a micro trend line on ES right at 43.87 that we're right up against. We have a macro trend line at about 44.20. So ES is coming into some decent supply here. The big supply, though, is 44.20. That would be the next level, which is still 50 points higher. But we do have a little bit of a micro trend line that we need to deal with at 43.86, but we'll see what happens. NDX has a trend line from June. There you go. It's probably the same one, a very similar one. Yeah, nice little red candle here down to 43.70. What are we doing? What are we doing? Markets are made to be bought. Yeah, it's much, much harder to short. Yeah. Yep. Well, I've got a little different view about bear markets and bull markets than other people. Like, I don't look at it 20% up or down. I don't look at all that stuff. It's strictly, I based all my thoughts based on volatility. And in my experience, what my 12 years of experience has bought me, now coming up on 13, what my 12 years of experience has bought me is understanding the price action in the markets. Bull markets are not volatile. Bear markets are. And this is the most volatile we've ever been. We're having multiple 5, 6, 700% sell or 700 point sell-offs, and that you just don't see that in a bull market. When we go back into a bull market, it's going to be slow, it's going to be boring, it's going to be grinding, and it's going to go up for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then it's going to retrace 2, 3%, and then it's going to go up, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then it's going to retrace 2 to 3%. That's what it does. And until then, we have to play with volatility. All right, so we got 43.73. You see liquidity coming on lower here, about 4370. Oh, nice, Rock Money. That's beautiful. $4,372 back down. I tried to explain this to a money manager a couple of nights ago at trivia night at a local brewery. He never thought of it that way, and he was inclined to agree. Oh, cool. He also said their firm is in buy the dip mode. I like it. Yeah, and it's just, maybe I'm wrong with the way to look at it that way, but that's the way I look at it. That's what my experience has taught me. Do I use delta divergence in trading strategy at all? It seems to be one for me now. Higher highs on price, lower highs on delta. I'm viewing a 4,000 tick chart. I don't, but that's an interesting theory. I do track deltas, but not in that way. All right, we have 43.72. NASDAQ is dropping. Microsoft bought all the way back up and is now pinned to 350. Amazon's coming off pretty hard. Apple's trying to give it some of it back, and XLF is flagging. 15.2 is the main liquidity level on NASDAQ here to the upside. Nice, Mike Steels. Well done. Oh, man. 43.70. I got inputs horrible fill, but the in the red still. Some profit taking on Friday wouldn't be that bad. Well, the profit taking will come. Y'all just do VPA. That's all. Don't front run anything and just do VPA. Look for top wicks on the 15-minute to the 30-minute. Look for volume influx. You're welcome, Ka. Yeah, I'll look into it. And I like looking into other stuff as well. I'm always testing and looking at stuff. Oh, I'm told me to buy calls. Now I'm down. Don't do that. NASDAQ's holding the 50 EMA on the 1 minute. Yeah. So it's all right here at that 43.7. We have liquidity down here at 43.68. I'm looking for my first trade of the day. Nine six. Man, what a day. What a day. Yeah, so ES is pinned to this 4370. Amazon's getting dumped right here. It's getting dumped. What's the best way to manage being a 30-day put? PDS. Spread it, in my opinion. So when I'm managing positions like that, the first thing that I would encourage you to do is stop looking at the P&L of that one particular position if you're going to manage a position. If you just want to close it, then by all means, set a stop based on a percentage and close it. But for me, what I want to do is, like if I'm going to put that's far out like that, a month out, your options are obviously close it. Number two is to just play calls against the position as we're going up and just leave it, just forget about it, and just play calls. If you're of the opinion we're going to tank within 30 days, then you can hold it and just play calls against it until you're good to go. And as long as your daily P&L is green, who cares about the position? As long as you're very a lot of conviction that we're going down. Your third option is to spread it to a PDS. Is to sell premium against it in PDS, and your fourth option is to PCS it, which is to turn it to a bullish position and then PCS the position in the up to the north. Nice, Major Tom. All right. Second position day on oil. Nice. We're going to need a video series on that. I can do that. Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. All right, a little bit of red. They're adding 4350 liquidity lower. So they do have some weakness kind of trickling in here. We'll see what they can do with this move. ES has this 4370, 4350. Volume has come off after that big high volume spike. That appears it looked like stopping volume. That 10 o'clock volume candle looks like stopping volume. Highest volume candle of the day. In fact, pretty high. That's the third highest volume candle in the past couple of days. So pretty high volume there. ES is coming off. Looks like it wants to wipe through this stuff. We'll get a little bit of a breach. Big red move on oil there. A little bit of profit taking. Yeah. Well, this is short-term profit taking today, so obviously this is not macro profit taking. Just a little bit of retracement here. It's only talking about 14 points, but we have liquidity here at 70, 50. Nasdaq is coming off. Vix is still holding 1523 there. What are the GEX levels for today? 436, 435. Ran up for 5 days in a row, and now when's the pullback? I don't know. You know, if you want to track pullbacks on such a move like this, you have to look at the 30 and 60 minute, the 30 and 60 minute charts. That's going to tell you. Now, I will say, so far we do have a little bit of a topic forming on the 60-minute chart. Obviously, it's a brand new candle. We're only 14 minutes in, but Just track the long-term trades, the long-term analysis, and that'll be able to tell you. They're putting on 15,150. ES is trickling down ever so slowly. We didn't really get any pullbacks in the spring market. Yep. So they're adding more liquidity higher. So I'm still not sold off on any kind of major reversal this morning. So just tread lightly. Even for a 5-minute trend change, we need to come down 70 points on NASDAQ. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. 5 green candles in a row, now 5 red in a row on the 5-minute. Yep, still nothing robust. We're just trickling. But it's definitely coming down a touch. Bottom wick. There's that bottom wick back off there. Remember, keep an eye on this 15,150. 43.50 here. They just filled that liquidity, put on an iceberg there. NASDAQ is stuck at 15,100, as ES is stuck at 43.70. Which one leads the other? Watch one leads the other. My put is on SPY. Do you think that's too close to turn into a PDS? What was your strike on that contract? $429. All right. So you're talking about a 429 put. That's you said 30 days out. So you're talking about it's only 5 points down. There's nothing wrong with taking a PDS because a PDS buys you time. If it goes up, the short put pays you. If we go sideways, the short put pays you. If we go down and we start picking up steam, then you just close the short put and let your long put eat. So it buys you a lot of time. I'm a very big fan of PDSs. Very big fan. Can you have a look at BAC, Bank of America? Let's take a look. What are they doing nowadays? And they launched today, 227. I guess when you've got 160 billion in unrealized losses, it's good to rock it. Let's see, 24.99 up to 28. Very big green. Took out that prior pivot at 27. They did put on a pretty big volume candle yesterday. You're holding puts from the top. Yeah, it does. Look, Luke, definitely. Next target on Bank of America would be 29.5, and that's pretty much where it's been since March. But if they can hold that top wick, gap fill down to 27. But yeah, I mean the financials this week in general rocketed, which a lot of this has to do with the fact that the bonds came off, or the bonds rocketed, yields cratered, and the financials did very well this week. Is a PDS a long put and a short put further out? Yes, further out of money. And a PCS is a short put closer to the money than the long. Benefits of PCS using calls and short calls. Benefit of PCS versus using calls. Are you talking about like naked short calls? Is that your question, or you like a PCS is them together, obviously? Just so I understand your question. Like a long call and short call further out of the money. Like a long call and a short call further out of the money. What you're talking about is a PDS or CDS, call debit spread. No, 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 no. Putting on the green. That's a great scene. Yeah. Bank of America had 7.8 billion net of income. Yeah. The earnings don't really matter. It's all cooked in stuff that's, Emila Lagasse type of stuff. It's all about that, obviously what's going on in the future and what's the forward-looking guidance is. What is this price action? We're just consolidating. Don't sweat it. Consolidating. Panera's expensive. Everything's expensive. I'm going to do some Googling. I think I need to do spreads for a while, make a random plays with stop losses. Well, I've got a couple of videos on credit spreads and debit spreads. So if you want to take a look at them, not to mention, please ask questions here. We do a lot of that stuff. So I can tell you one thing, I won't buy a put for the first week of November ever again. Yeah, make notes. Spreads are great for like a debit spread is a great way to reduce your risk. Is to buy you time. Put theta in the driver's seat instead of in oncoming traffic. Alrighty. You're welcome. 4370. Negative 7600 CVD. You see NASDAQ, they took off this guy. They put on the 5162 and put it higher there. Have a little bit of pressure. $15.9. CVD is negative. On NASDAQ, it's positive. ES is very negative and building more negative. I've got an 8200 CVD negative. Is a 10-point spread for the 429 pretty wide? Yeah, that's too wide. Yeah, I would equate that to a 100-point spread on SPX, which is far too wide. That short put's not going to provide you any protection at that width. So I would go shorter. Or tighter, I'm sorry, tighter. I did 3 on the last one to work well. Yeah, that's about good. That's what I do. 30 points out on SPX, which is about 3 on SPY. So, yeah, that's about the same. It's a good level of protection. The reason why I don't want to go there's there is an argument for going too close against going too close. I don't want to go too close because I don't want the theta values to be very similar. I want the theta and the decay on the farther outside the money positions to be a little bit more aggressive. So if we chop sideways, I'm going to make money on the outside the money positions a lot faster than I'm going to lose money on the long puts. And if you're too tight, they're going to decay at about the same rate. So I want to go a little bit further outside the money. Too far, and you're not going to get enough credit to protect your long put. Too tight, and it's not going to decay fast enough to protect your long put. So I want to go, there's a good balance, and that balance is up to your risk tolerance. I want it in about 30 points on SPX is a great way to do it. 43.70 here. Love to see them bring this back down to open levels. Yeah, looks like they're trying to, man. Right now we've got the market opened at 59.50. Ooh, a little bit of red coming off here. So wipe this thing down. So finally we have a confirmed top wick on the 15-minute. We're coming up on 10:30, and this thing is making a nice move down. ES is coming off 43.64. Finally, a little bit of a retracement here. Can it hold, though, is the question. It's crazy stuff. 43.64. Coming down. A little bit more red. A little bit more red. 43.63. Let's see. NASDAQ has there a little bit of 1550. ES has a little bit lower here too. Nice little sustained move so far. Decent little move there. $15,058. 43.64. Market on a CNBC, yeah. And bottom wick, yeah. Still defending. Still defending. Finally top tick my puts for a really nice gain on that dip. Nice, JJ. Well done. Well done. Well done. So this is the consolidation area after the big non-farm payroll gap up here. We're entering into that area back in the consolidations. We're pretty much undoing the little bit of imbalance that we created on the market open rally. And they're already bottom wicking this thing pretty hard. So, yeah, just, yeah. Really messed up the move right there. What happened, catastrophe? $43.64. Don't see any rate cuts for a while. Yeah, right now they're looking at July. July rate cuts. Big old bottom wick on NASDAQ. ES is 43.65 off 2. Let's see, they filled 1,400 iceberg or stops right there, and they bottom ticked it. NASDAQ filled a couple of them, but yeah, it looks like a little bit of liquidity there. All right, hammer candle across the board, right off that supply on ES 4366. Nasdaq just hammered 40 points and is going back up. So there you go. Morning range is set. Yeah, there you go. There you go. How's the volume on that move, though? How's that volume? Let's go to the 5-minute. I was on the 60-minute chart there. Pretty decent volume. Yeah, pretty decent volume. Morning range is set there, right at 10:30. $10.05 had bigger red, but it was a good candle. Yeah. Today, first day of positive gamma, 126. Alrighty. So we got 1508 Nasdaq. They pivoted right on the consolidation throughout the pre-market and hammered the crap out of that candle to the tune of 40 points. ES bottom wicked 4367. Looks like we're going to retrace to the highs here, at least on Nasdaq. They're going to retrace to the highs. Just absolute rocket ship. No pressure. Yeah, Apple's trying. Big green candle on Apple, heading back high. Microsoft is still kind of top wicking, doing their little channel thing. XLF is coming off pretty hard, so financials are all the way back down to low of the day. TLT is 88.46. They're coming back up. VIX is coming on back down. Taking off today. My wife just had surgery. Yeah, take it off. Person might like it. I don't see that going to happen. We're still getting mixed data with some areas getting stronger. With what? Let's see. Accidentally bought a 0 TD. Is wondering why I got stopped out so easily. Yeah. I've done that before. Position sizing is losing 61 on Apple auto puts from yesterday. There you go. Position sizing, baby. $15.07. We've got 43.50 here. What'd you take, Redek? Man, look at Amazon. Amazon's getting crushed. New low of the day for Amazon. They're about to take out pre-market levels. Microsoft's got some pressure. 43.50 on yes. Hey. Killing me, Redek. Killing me. Oh, pressure. This thing's all over the place. They just need to stop buying the dip on Apple. Well, look at Amazon, dude. Amazon's getting creamed. Creamed. So 43.60. They are doubling down on 43.50 on ES. But that big old bottom wick right there just got hammered. They were starting to continue upwards. Obviously, they just top wick the crap out of that. And they can close that as an inside top wick. And now we have the third candle after that follow-on starting to form right now, and we're at 15.07 on NASDAQ. NASDAQ has 15.05. Amazon just dumped way below new lows of the day, and they also took out pre-market lows. So Amazon took out support. Microsoft is starting to trickle off, and really Apple's the only thing. It's funny how Apple's the one being strong today, given what happened to them pre-market. Silly. Silly goose. It's always like this, yeah. Yep. 2.96 profit for the day. I'm done. Nice, Damien. Well done, buddy. Well done. ES is slowly breaking lower. NASDAQ is trying to test the bottom of that bottom wick. 43.60 right here. Possible buying climax with that 15-minute? It is very possible, yeah. Very possible. Yeah, Damon's killing it, man. I love it. I love it. Keep it up, man. I love the slow and steady. Love the slow and steady. All right, what we got here? All right, what we got? Bottom wick again. Apple is going to highs of the day. Big old green across the board on tech. TLT is 84.33. Massive green candle on NASDAQ. ES is 43.66. And that's a double bottom wick on NASDAQ. That's going to send us to new highs. Right there. Especially with Apple doing what it's doing. $43.66. VIX is coming down 15.23. So it's really all on Apple here. Apple is the strongest one of the day. Down 4%, and now they're the anchor of the market this morning. So CVD is green now. What? Wait a second. It went back to resetting at 10:30. Forget my CVD numbers. Today I guess today it decided to reset at 10:30. It's been resetting at 8:30 every morning. 8:30 Central Time. Just reset. Massive green candle. That's going to go higher. Yeah, so that's a double bottom wick on NASDAQ. For NASDAQ, we went up. That was a 50-point bottom wick there. Absolutely rocket ship. ES went 43.68 to 60 or 61 to 69, and Apple is going to new highs of the day. Microsoft just bought up everything, 1.5 points in one candle. So all they're doing is grabbing liquidity to move this thing higher. It's just bottom wick and everything. VIX is 15.18. They're about to put in a new low into the 14s. ES still has liquidity here at 43.50, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. That was a perfect reset. It was, yeah. So look for NASDAQ to start looking to retest higher here. Apple's still going higher. Despite all the pressure in tech, they're buying up everything. And NVIDIA just bought on back up. Google, a lot of wicks there, but they're back up to 128. Haven't taken a trade here yet because this thing is all over the place. One for one, my first trade in over 2 weeks from taking some time off. Nice, Uncle Bill. $677 orders. $43.67.50. Still buying. May break no put November already. Y'all jabronis. I love it. Love it. All right. $15.087. CVD is maintaining. Keep having this little fluctuation right here. ES is 43.66. Amazon's coming back down. Microsoft is coming back down. Apple's still going rocket ship. Nice little pressure. A little bit of red. Get the owl. Now, I'm not touching this, man. Too many whipsaws. NASDAQ is whipsawing back and forth 50, 60 points. So, I'm good. I'm good. Amazon's coming all the way back down. Microsoft is coming all the way back down. Apple still, they need to come off and retrace for any kind of real pressure. Otherwise, it's bottom wick central. Another bottom wick back up. There's 110 iceberg, 1507. Let's take a look at ES. A lot of icebergs, ton of icebergs on the chart here, all over the place with 4350 still there. Bottom wick. Amazon is what is that, 137.8, so still dropping. But Microsoft bottom wick, Apple 175.50. Right on top of R1 at the moment. What's the 15-minute tell us? Why do I get the feeling we're back to choppy Wick City like 4 months ago until FOMC? Well, the VIX has certainly come off. The volatility has kind of come off here, but at least it's got to quantify down to 14. Man, there's a whole bunch of icebergs hitting it right here. Look at that. That's odd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 of them. All right. Adding a little bit lower, 43.45, 43.42. We got 15.05, but still not moving. We're pinned to 15.07 here. So what we have here, Amazon, Microsoft are coming down. Apple's going up. Amazon has already taken out pre-market lows and their current session lows. But the fact that Apple's not coming off and the indexes are not coming down, everything's getting bottom wicked. There's still way too much supported buying in this market all over the place. NASDAQ has tried several times to top wick back down, but every single time it's bottom wicked. ES has been consolidating right here to 433, so it's a little shaky of a market here, a little shaky. Wasn't paying attention, missed another entry. I'm sick today and just going to sit back and watch. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe take 1 to 2 trades later. Another big bottom wick on NASDAQ is Amazon is basing 137. Big old bottom wick on Amazon, going higher. Microsoft is bottom wicked. Apple's 175.64. I don't like any of this. Don't like any of it. What's Nvidia doing right now? Nvidia is rocket ship, new high. It's going to highs of the day. So tech is definitely doing their own thing. Microsoft coming back up. There goes Apple. ES is 43.68. Looks like they're going to peak above here. So there was your retracement. You wanted a retracement. There was 15 points. Still short oil, but I'm getting impatient. Volume favor still sell. CL. Yeah, it's still down. I mean, that's a good short, down to 81.17. Nuts with these gaps. Yeah, it's gap all over the place, man. Yeah. Does probability favor repositioning over the weekend to the downside? I have no idea. I have no idea. With the war no longer being a factor, with this much bullishness, who knows? If they're going to take profits, are they going to position for hedging over the weekend? Who knows? All right, Microsoft is 350. Amazon is still not moving. That's a question for L's dartboard. Yeah. Yeah. War no longer being a factor. Yeah, the markets no longer care about the war. It's been about a week and a half, about 2 weeks now, since it really started ramping up. That's about the time for the market to write it off. Doesn't care. I'm not talking about from a humanitarian standpoint. I'm talking about from a market standpoint. Market doesn't care. Did the same thing with Russia. No. Two red Fridays to position for the bad weekend. Yeah. Yeah. All right. NASDAQ is top wicking and bottom wicking and just kind of, we got this little slowly upwards movement here, contained 43.68. NASDAQ is the top end of that range, is bottom wicking everything. 15.07 removed. NASDAQ, ES removed 4350, took off all the lower stuff here. If Amazon breaks out and joins everything else, then bam, we're gonna, right back up to highs. So I have to say these last 2.5 years have been awesome in terms of learning. The market is giving some great lessons that will further benefit my trading. Yeah, they definitely will. It's been fantastic lessons as long as you're willing to learn from it. Fantastic lessons. I think I'll call it a day. This is wasting my time. Yeah, right now. No moves yet to be had just yet. Big red on ES. Big red on oil again. Hey, look at that. Oil breaking down. Nice. Nice trade. Sell off into Monday as far as SPY options look. Well, 43.60 there. Another big bottom wick. No pressure here. Every move is still bottom wicked here. Microsoft is rolling over. They haven't bottom wicked yet, but Amazon bottom wicked. Apple's still holding 175. I think we test 43.50 on ES after close. That's about 14 points down. 43.50 would put us right at the top of the non-farm payroll candle. So that'd be a good imbalance fill to start to move lower and retest that level. Yeah, VIX is climbing back up a little more aggressively, 1542 after holding 15. Couldn't quite get into the 14s, but tried to. Another bottom wick on NASDAQ. ES is down to 43.60. NASDAQ's trying to break that trend line, yeah, but they keep bottom wicking. I'm watching them both here, ES and NASDAQ. ES is having a little bit more success dropping. NASDAQ is bouncing everything because of, obviously, Apple. But if they could take out that bottom trend, we could probably refresh down a non-farm payroll high, which would be a good basic point. Bottom wick. I've gotten every single thing wrong since Tuesday. My account's been smoked. Right now, I'm just stepping back for a sec, and I'm just chilling. VIX is starting to put on some good moves here. True. We have a little bit of top wicking coming in here. We could step in something. Am I willing to take a short? Yeah, if I could see some momentum. Absolutely. At the money positions. I'll scalp something in here. I'll scalp something in here. ES coming on down. There's 43.60 on ES. Nice little move. NASDAQ is 1507. Was 1507. Bounced up to 79. Bottom wick. Monday I was emotional and got big losses. Let's take notes. Writing down notes on the emotional aspect is just as important as the technical aspects. Big old buy up on the on NASDAQ all the way back up. 30-point bounce on NASDAQ. Big old green on Amazon. Amazon broke out of their consolidation to the upside. Yeah, I'm not touching this. 1509. Bottom wick on Microsoft. And we've just been consolidating since 1025 on ES. There goes ES all the way back up. And there goes NASDAQ. Since VIX has been holding and we keep bottom wicking, what would you need to see to know you're truly going down or up? No wicks. You know, we had a decent distribution candle there at 10 o'clock. Nice little top wick, but no real follow through. Like the sellers did their job and defended 4380. Like they top wicked the crap out of it. Decent, great volume, highest volume candle of the day. But then after that, everything's bottom wicked. Like the sellers haven't continued through here. So, you know, I don't want to sit here and start slinging into puts until I see, all right, well, can we close any kind of red candle whatsoever without a bottom wick? Because that's where you're going to get yourself in a position where you're stressed and you're going to make stupid decisions. If you were a seller, would you commit? Not till institutions do. No. No. Why did the VIX rocket on a small move? Positioning. You remember, VIX is positioning in the option chain. So dealers probably drop back into some hedges on the option chain and spike the VIX back up. There goes NASDAQ about to break out. What's NVIDIA doing? NVIDIA, new high of the day, blasting. Google just got rocketed. Look at that. Google freaking rocket. Meta, basing. Google is, let's see, Amazon. Amazon's rocketing back up here too. Apple holding high of the day. So tech is still very, very strong. ES is 43.69. Boom. Going. About to go. NASDAQ is about to rocket. XLF is climbing back here too, yeah. Sellers couldn't close the deal, so buyers are refreshing. I'm in 50 calls. Is the economy this good or is this running off JPOW? No, the economy's terrible. But market doesn't care about the economy. It's all about liquidity. Buy up on the volume, yeah. What is exactly terrible? Everything. Banks are failing. Inflation is still out of control. Prices are out of control. Mortgages are at 30-year lows. Interest rates are at 8%. The car market's getting destroyed. Repossessions are nearing all-time highs. The average rent payment is about $2,400 a month. You tell me one thing that's good. I'll revert your question. Tell me one thing that's good. But we're having a conversation about economy, but the market does not care about the economy. So 43.69. Yeah, numbers generally increase in inflation, so that's there. Summer is over, so my electric bill will only be $800 a month. Paul, that's a huge electric bill, dang dude. I thought my electric bill was stout. Ammo and gun sales, yeah. All right. Well, I'll give it a few more minutes here. We'll call it in the morning. Garbage price action here. It's been a heck of a week. Heck of a week. So, inflation is low. Inflation is not low. CPI is low. Inflation is not low. GDP is positive, which is always on during inflationaries. Banks are not failing. There's a lot of banks failing. Most importantly, we're trading 67 companies to hold 50%. You see, that's the problem, is that there are 67 companies that are holding up the S&P, which is terrible. It's just not. I don't mean to disagree with pretty much everything you said there, but the fact that there are 7 companies that are holding up the S&P is terrible, because there's the breadth of the market, which is the key there, is awful. So if in a strong market, which again, we're kind of blending conversations here, talking about the economy as opposed to the market. The market and economy are separated, but the market breadth is what you want to look for strength, and that's the problem, is that it's terrible, except for the fact that there's 6 or 7, obviously the mega caps. Just watch Joe Rogan and Tim Kennedy podcast. Tim couldn't stop talking about how Americans should be extremely careful with the influx of. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah. With grind moves up like yesterday, you get comfortable in your position and slowly gets too far, but time to realize. It's all about stops, baby. GDP and employment is solid, so how can you say the economy is bad? Yeah. Will there be a shift from big tech into small caps? There will be some rotation out of big tech into small caps, but the big rotation will be out of tech and into bonds. That'll be the big rotation. The safe haven trade will go from into tech, and then it'll rotate into bonds. Do I look at R2K as a leading indicator? I do track R2K on the weekly. I don't really pay attention to R2K on the daily stuff. I want to look at the overall macro sentiment of R2K, and I want to see when the small caps are rotating in and out. That's just part of the analysis. It's on my watch list, so I'm able to click on it and track it on the macro. 43.71. When to expect the shift into bonds? We don't know. It's just that's why the only thing you could do is dollar cost average. There's no way to know that. We could guess on it, but there's no real way to know it. If one were to buy TLT units, would you sell covered calls? The risk is there if TLT pops and you miss out on the gains. I wouldn't, not in this market. No, I don't think we're out of the woods yet with TLT, but I mean, because of the unknown, I wouldn't do it. I feel confident they could panic cut rates by then. Yeah, there's a good chance of that happening. How did Japan market with bonds affect this TLT slowdown? Well, you know, Japan is not the only factor. That is a big factor that's on a hot plate right now, but that's not the only factor. Now, Japan came out this week and said they were going to push their rate cycle until 2024. So, in terms of the pivot, they're not going to pivot for a while. The big thing that came out today was the fact that they said they're pushing up rate cuts to July from September, so they're pushing it forward into July. What's the markets? Obviously we're responding to that. Did you guys experience the recent temperature drop? Yeah, we had a softball game last night, and it was freaking 35 degrees out. Global, yeah. I don't get them either, especially if he says something like the economy and the market didn't. The economy and the market doesn't have a connection with each other. You try trading the market based on what the economy's doing, and let me know how that goes. The market's about liquidity, and it's forward-looking. And the economy is obviously the economy. And y'all get upset when I counter your arguments. A little bit of red, 43.66. $43.66, still not moving. Haven't taken a trade. That's what keeps fooling me. The forward doesn't look great either, but it keeps on growing higher. Well, it's volatility. The volatility is the underlying theme for everything here. So I'm not talking about trading the market. I'm talking about the relationship between the market and the economy. Yeah, the market is all about liquidity. That's the main thing. It's about the injection or the outflow of liquidity. It's not about like if the market was about the economy, then this market would have got smoked down into 2000 already with everything that's been going on. What happened when CPI hit 9.1%? What happened? Shortly after that, the market rallied like a couple of hundred points. It's not connected like that. Not in a tradable sense. And it'll get you into trouble trying to play that stuff. That's why data doesn't matter. It's all about liquidity. It's about the injection of liquidity or the outflow of liquidity through the Fed purchasing or sale of bonds. A little bit of red here. $1 billion question. But where do you feel SPY will end up at the absolute bottom before we start to trek back up? I don't know. I don't know. Y'all know my stance on. Y'all know my macro stance. Here's what I'll say, because I always talk about my macro bearish stance. But here's what I'll tell y'all. I will flip from bearish to bullish in a heartbeat once I see the shakeout. Once I see that big, I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's 4,100. I don't care if it's 3,000. Once I see that limit shakeout where the bonds rotate, I'll flip to bullish in a second. Like, I don't care about being right. I care about watching for the trigger for me to go macro bullish. And right now, I don't see it. $43.68. Nothing to trade here. We're all over the place. Oh, man. How much liquidity comes from all our 401ks and never stop buying until we're unemployed? On the collective, I mean, it does provide liquidity, yeah. When you're talking about these couple of $100 billion funds that your companies invest in, the pension funds around the world, I mean, that's got a big part of it. The managed funds, the hedge funds, the institutions, all that stuff. I mean, that's all the collective liquidity. Can you explain that more? Once the bonds turn bullish, it'll become macro bullish. This all comes back to my main theme, which is volatility. In order for us to be macro bullish, we have to shake out the volatility, and that doesn't happen on the upside. We need to shake out all the liquidity and the volatility in the market. Because let's go back to the podcast I posted last week, the 8 laws that Richard Nate talks about. With the introduction of way much more liquidity, you're going to have a lot more volatility and aggressive price action, longer sustained buy-ups, longer sustained sell-offs, and longer sustained consolidation. And with the introduction of the liquidity back in coronavirus, it's introduced a phenomenal amount of volatility. I mean, since December of 2021, we've been facing 600 and 700 point sell-offs, 1,000-point buy-ups, 400-point. It's just been whipsawing all over the place. And all we're doing is fighting each other saying bullish and bearish, which is a bunch of crap. When we need to be talking about, look how volatile this market is. And once the liquidity is stripped from the market and that is no longer volatile, then we can enter into a proper bullish trend upwards for the next 20 years. And we'll do nothing but buy for the next 20 years. Because the market, I mean, let's go back to Anna Coling, chapter 4 through 7. The institutions do not want to start a campaign, and the campaigns are multiple different time frames. She says that too. You could be talking about a campaign on the 15-minute. You could be talking about a campaign on the yearly chart, the multiple year decade chart. They're not going to kick off a campaign to start moving this move higher if they're going to face 1,000-point sell-off. And until we strip the volatility from the market, we are still going to be in a nature where you have to play very carefully. In order to do that, you have to strip the liquidity out, which is through the bond market. Go look at the Fed, what's happening right now. They're slowly starting to finally, because remember what happened back in February and January? February, January, they finally started to pull off the liquidity through the bonds. Then what happened in March? March happened and we had the regional banking crisis where all the regional banks started to fail. What did they do? They put 400 billion right back in, and it popped the liquidity right back to where it was. And now finally, after that, they're finally starting to pull the liquidity back out again. I think they've reduced another 200 billion this week, last week. And I could pull the Fed chart up if you want, but they're finally starting to pull liquidity back out. So, with the introduction of liquidity in 2020, which rallied and made everyone a lot of money, including myself, up until 2021, what happens when they start pulling the liquidity back out, which they finally are now starting to do? Now we have to retrace a little bit. The value of this market is way on down because of the top 7 mega stocks, which are the flight to safety trade. And to further my point that the market and the economy is not connected, go look at the valuations on the fundamentals for the top 7 and tell me if that justifies the stock price. It does not even close, because the market and the economy are not correlated. The stock market is based on liquidity, and the economy is based on fundamentals, value, liquidity, money. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Hope that makes sense. But with 0 DTE, what incentive would market makers have to strip volatility? Well, that's another side of the conversation. That's the part that we don't know. That's the part that I'm not even going to try to guess. Because the 0 DT options is a new vehicle, and I have no idea how. I mean, I'm not a genius. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But you're exactly right, though, is that the zeros do have introduced a lot of volatility. And it's made it pretty much required that you have to have a basis understanding of options chain in addition to VPA to be able to understand what's happening, because the delta hedging has been incredible with the zeros every day. Any positions? Currently not. No, this thing is, we haven't moved in about an hour, so I haven't taken anything. I need to read up on bonds in which they played historically. Don't understand why when liquidity leaves it gets into bonds. Well, historically, the bonds in the market, are known to correlate with each other. But when they diverge, that means that the market is going to flood out of the risky trade, which is the equities, and into the safe trade, which is the bonds. And if you go look at the bonds, up until this point, the bonds have gotten absolutely destroyed. The bonds have gotten smoked way more than the indexes and the equities. The bond market hit like a historical sell-off. Go back and look. Like, there's never been a time when the bond market got destroyed to this degree. So there will reach a point where the rates peak, where they become attractive again, and the big money will take their money out of risk and into bonds. And when that rotation happens, the bonds are going to rocket and the equities are going to drop. And that's the part after that happens. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to signify the bull market. After that happens is when we'll go full on bullish, and I'll never talk about being a bear ever again, at least not for the next 20 years, when we have another fake coronavirus and the market tanks again. Hopefully they pick a different city this time other than Wuhan. Otherwise it'll be a little too obvious. Need a repeat telecast each month for the soapbox, I guess. Yeah, definitely. Well, of course, this is recorded, so you can go back and look. I'm going to short, so if you want to guarantee money, go long. Jeez Louise. Don't do that, Shane. Don't do that. I'm in Waterloo, Ontario. Can we have our own coronavirus? There you go. All right. Apple's creeping down a touch. We're also not in a bear market. Technically, for a bear market, you have to be in a decline of 20% year to date. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's a new thing that's people clutch onto. I don't care about that. I don't define a bear market, bull market by plus or minus 20%. That's a headline thing. There's never been a bull market in history that has sold off multiple 400-point increments. Like so, I don't care about the 20%. How do you track the overall market liquidity? Is it mostly just based on bond value? Overall market liquidity, well, there's a couple of points to that. One, I'm tracking the Fed assets. That's the big thing. The Fed assets is the whole, like, all of this narrows down to what happened in 2020. And that is 100% driven by the Fed assets. Because the whole point is to reduce the Fed assets off the books, which is what they put on in 2020. So that's the number one point. So all the way down, 43.66. And it doesn't matter. Like I'm not sitting here shorting everything. It doesn't matter. So you definitely have your own definitions for sure. It's not my own definitions. It's the truth. It's the truth. Go back and look. I encourage you to go back and look at all bear markets and bull markets and tell me when there were a time that in a bull market that we were doing this type of behavior. And I'm just challenging you to look out, to open up and look. I want to challenge. I mean, that's why I'm here, to challenge you all to look at what's actually going on in the markets. Troy options. What is that? Yeah, total assets. So look what happened there. Like obviously they phenomenal amount of liquidity injected in 2020. You see that? And then it spiked even further into 2022, which is why I kept holding all my 2021 positions, because the liquidity kept coming in. As long as that number goes up, you hold your stocks because they are throwing trillions of dollars in liquidity. So that chart right there, that if in a quantitative easing, that's what you want to have glued. Every single day you hit refresh on that thing. It goes up, you hold. But look what happened. Obviously in 2022, they started pulling things out. 2021 and 2022, they started pulling liquidity out, and they dropped. But what happened in March again? You see that little shoot back up there in March? They tried to save the regional banks because the regional banks were failing. We had four of the biggest bank failures in history occurred in March of 2022 or 2023, and they injected 400 or 500 billion back in. And now it's starting to trickle back off finally. We're starting to finally make some progress in pulling liquidity out of the market. So, well, I appreciate you keeping it, respectful. It's not easy to have bull bear conversations on the internet without having name calling and stuff. So, I appreciate the fact that you've got your opinion. And I'm not challenging you in the terms of, face to face. I want people to think outside of the box. That's all. Global net liquidity. I'm now rethinking storing my retire account spot. Well, it all depends on your time frame, Weed Mom. If we're talking 40, 50 years, I mean, who cares what happens in the next 12 months? If you want to get a better entry, and I think there will be one, but The market always, in terms of long term, the market always goes up. The market's always going to go up. And if it doesn't, then you got nothing to worry about. Who cares? Because we'll be trading potatoes and corn. So. Yeah, and to clarify, I don't think coronavirus is fake. I was being colorful. Trust me, my wife, Mrs. OM, directed 3 ERs. She was in the. I saw her go through that destruction. I guess more of the thing is man-made. I guess is a better word for it. So, apologize. I didn't mean to defend anybody. Pretty sure my uncle died from coronavirus. He died randomly in December of 2019 from a respiratory thing that he did not have. So I'm pretty sure that got him. Why would we want quantitative easing then? They are trying to tighten this thing now because inflation is going to go out of control. That was the whole point, is because hyperinflation would have, if you don't pull liquidity out, we would have had hyperinflation. Obviously, inflation went up, but it didn't go hyperinflation like Argentina. So they have to pull things out. That's why they're trying to kill the job market. That's why they were trying to slow the economy down. That's why they're trying to pull liquidity out, because of inflation. Inflation. Free guac. There you go. I've lost so much money in the last 20 years by making fun of funds who DCA'd into segregated funds and tried to DOI it. Yeah, buying and holding index funds. I'm telling you, there is not a better way to make money, except for real estate. Real estate is my personal favorite, but there's not a better way to make money in the long term than to buy index funds, SPY, and just hold for 30, 40 years. That's why I'm saying if you're 18 years old, 20 years old, then forget about partying, forget about all the other crap, and just buy shares of SPY. Forget about the bear market, forget about a sell-off next year. Just buy and hold it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Period. There's no better way to trade than to do that. I lived through hyperinflation in Argentina decades ago. Believe me, we do not want hyperinflation. Yeah, it's terrible, man. God is good. Yes, he is. Market is whacked the last 2 days, but Monday's another day. Definitely, Maddie. And everything I just said the past 45 minutes is strictly for conversation. It's strictly just for food for thought, to have a intelligent conversation. I'm not sitting here actively shorting. I'm not holding short positions, and I think it's a terrible way to trade because obviously the market always goes back up. It's just food for thought. A bear market is defined by a prolonged drop in investment prices. Generally, bear market occurs when index is 20% or more. Yeah. Yep. About to call it a day. Fortnite is downloading. Hey, we still need to get that squads game going. Get some squads going with the Fortnite crew. Tesla just bounced off a pivot. Holding R2 right now. Tesla. Yeah, Tesla's getting smoked. Yeah. New Call of Duty. I have not heard good reviews about that. Actually, last night I was looking at the reviews, and they were terrible. There was like 100 one-star reviews. Holding R2 right here. This one's a little cleaner. SPX tracks liquidity quite close. Yep. I like it. I'm almost scared to play Fortnite. All the good players will come back and ruin it for us. Under the metaphysical challenge, I don't like negativity either. And when you're respectful and have good intentions, that's all that counts for me. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I like intelligent conversations. Call of Duty is stale now. I haven't played Call of Duty in a while. Of course, I don't really have time for video games very much anyway. But all right, that's 11:30. I haven't taken a trade. This thing is just now we're starting to creep up the top here. But there you go. We've been chopping for about an hour and a half. So yeah. Had a big old slice of humble pie this week. After last week, which typically happens. Don't I say that? After your biggest wins, you usually get hit in the face. Yeah. So last week was the third biggest week of the year for me, and then this week, num 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 num. Extra helping of humble pie. Long time watcher, but never talk. What's up, Turds Will? Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you being here. No more red days this year. I wish that was reality. When's the last time you upped your position sizing? Honestly, Robert, I lowered my position sizing after 2022. So I was upping it into 2021. And you have to remember, 2020 and 2021 was a life-changing year for me. I took an account that took me 8 years to grow, and it went exponential in 2020, 2021. So I literally faced a lot of money that I wasn't normally used to trading with in those years. So in 2021, not to mention when I saw the signs of the wall of all the pressure coming, I reduced my position sizing greatly. Greatly. So I haven't gone back to upping it yet. Well, I'm still playing with the money that I'm comfortable playing, because when I have a loss, like this week, if I would have played with big position sizing this week, I would have been destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. So with normal position sizing, it's not that big a deal. I had a good amount of wins, had some losses. So be it. On to next week. I'm still way up for what happened last week. So I haven't even gone back to increasing my position sizing yet. It's been a while. And that's what, in my opinion, has allowed me to perform the way I have the past 2 years. Is the fact that I keep just my toes in the fire, not my whole feet. It is just that we should be grateful not only to those whose views we may agree, but those who have expressed more superficial views. For these are also contributed something by developing with us the power of thought. I love it. If you are around a bunch of people that only agree with you, then most likely you're not going to grow. You need people to challenge you, challenge your thinking, as long as you both have the respect for one another. It's a great thing about the military, especially in the aviation community. You have to have a guy speak up. It doesn't matter if he's low on the totem pole or a commander. You have to have somebody speak up and challenge the status quo to make sure that... You know how many aircraft crash that have like 6-man crews? But the person that knows the problem that's about to crash doesn't speak up because they don't want to step on toes. What if they would have just said, hey, you've got your landing gear up and we're on the final approach. Maybe you should put that down. My biggest problem is position sizing and trading SPX instead of SPY. Yeah. Position sizing is probably 95% of most people's problems. It's not the technical analysis, it's the fact that you overexpose yourself and you don't allow yourself enough time. Hezbollah says, we are ready for your fleets with which you threaten us. Speaking to the United States. Numbers 2, 3, and 4 are on fire. Yeah. I feel like military trains speaking up out of people because they flame you out. For the most part, yes, I agree. But in the aviation community, it's the opposite. So I experienced the same thing because I entered the military and I was not in the aviation, I was in contracting. And then I transferred into the aviation community, and there was a big difference between shut up and color and once you go in the aviation is, even if you are an E1, if you see a commander making a mistake in the aircraft, not walking through the office, if you're in the aircraft and the commander makes a mistake and you're an E1, it's your duty to say something. Like, you've got to. Because that's a safety issue. Crew resource management, CRM, you've got to be able to say something to make sure the aircraft doesn't crash. Or you blow up the wrong building. Hey, you're on the wrong building, don't drop that bomb there. That's a school and not a target. Sort of the problem with Twitter, it just gathers views in which you typically agree with. You get stuck in the affirmation bubble. Yeah, it's terrible. That's a problem. I've been watching your streams for a year now. You've immensely changed my mindset and ability to trade intelligently and successfully. Nice, flaming turd. I like it. Your name does not check out. I'm happy to have helped you. Even if I can help one person, that's a win for me. You mentioned Mrs. OM worked in the ER. What's her career? She is a nurse, but 7 years ago she became a director of 1 ER and then 2, and then eventually she was directing 3 ERs. So she was over 3 ERs. She's a fire breather, man. That girl, I hit it out of the park with her. I outkicked my coverage in a football term with her. Do you think we drift higher into close? I don't know. Now she's directing me. She is, yeah. Your name doesn't check out as Pepsi Spit. My fiance is an ICU nurse as well, looking to eventually become a director. Nice. Yeah, ICU is that's a tough career, yeah. Got to be mentally strong for that one. Nurses for the win. Absolutely. I told you we have a lot in common. We do have a lot in common. We do have a lot in common, you're right. Can you explain the logic behind a low volume test either on supply or demand? Yes. All right. So, big old red on the VIX, by the way. If you are looking for a rejection, let's talk now. This big bullish move, we're looking for a big rejection. Let's take a look at this candle here. So if we finally let's understand that this is a 5-day move and we're looking for a big rejection somewhere. Just for the point of conversation. Let's say this is supply. The market comes into this move. If you are looking for this, if you want this to happen, you do not want to see a high volume rejection. A high volume rejection such as, let me make sure I get the wrong one. A high volume rejection such as this tells me that there's a whole bunch of sell orders here that transacted. There's a lot of sellers remaining here. So you do not want to see that. What you want to see is a low volume test, which means that all we did is the buyers ate up a little bit of sellers, not much at all. The buyers still control. And then bam, we're just going to kind of mosey on through anticlimatically. So this is the first indication, and really of the week, that we finally have a supply to plot, which is about 435, which tells us that there's supply there. Now, if we come up here to the second time, and we have another high volume top wick, then that's a pretty decent sign to start putting into some puts finally, or some downside. But if we retrace back inside this move, just a little bit of a top wick with no real volume fluctuation, and they can kind of buy back up. That's called absorption. That's where we're going to start absorbing the supply. Now that's signs that we're going to just bloop, kind of mosey on through like it wasn't even there. So watch the volume fluctuation if we come back into the 435 realm right here. The whole principle is centered around when the sellers are going to hit, when the buyers are going to hit and maintain, depending on the move. That's awesome. My wife is an RN. Nice, Kennedy. Is it, oh, I'm sharing the screen? Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, that the YouTube link I put in the stream analysis. Her goal is to complete NP school and open a clinic. Beautiful. I did ICU nursing about 78 hours a week in the past few years after being a medic, trying to retire. Nice. That's killer, man. It's a heck of a career. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. I'll try to explain it more, but it's all about the inflow or outflow of sellers and buyers. That's the whole principle right there behind volume price analysis, is figuring out where the supply is, where the demand is. You're welcome, Flying-Fish. Actually been considered RN in the Pittsburgh Air National Guard. Nice. The Air National Guard will treat you right, man. The National Guard is a fantastic way to, one, make a little extra money, and two, do something that's got some purpose. Especially aviation. You're welcome, Cray. X-Ray. And I am hungry. So if we have a low volume test breaking the previous high of 435, would it be a potential sign to go long? Yes. Once it confirms, because the price action I want to see for this, so let's say we have a supply right here, obviously. This is where we top wick. So what I would want to see, creep up, peek into it, a little bit of retracement, and then we start to see bottom wicks right here, a bottom wick. And then I don't want to see any major volume spikes here. I don't want to see any major volume spikes. This is okay. I don't want to see any of this crap right here. That'll be the sign to start buying the first retracement, and then we'll shift higher. Now, once we get in this area, it's okay to have some green volume spikes, because that means the buyers are going to pull away. The trepidation is gone, and we're going to start to pull away, and off we go. And then we're going to transact higher until we hit the next supply, which there may be a supply up here somewhere. But entering on this move right here is the best entry. We peek into it, we breached, we come back down, confirm no big super high volume sell spikes, and then you buy it up. So, keep it simple. Absolutely, Nikki. Would you recommend Air National Guard or Air Force Reserve for someone who's wanting to do part-time service and he wants to be close to home? I'm not in the reserve, so I can't speak to that. I'm an Air National Guard. Fantastic way, especially if you want to stay close to home. Now you will have to do, TDYs and deployments and stuff, but in terms of moving, no, you don't move. You stay at your unit. I mean, there's guys that spend 30, 40 years in their unit and they're there obviously. That's the benefit of being an Air National Guard. Is the pathway different to go to OTS first? No. Now you can go to OTS into the Air National. Like you can sign up for the Air National Guard and they'll send you to OTS, depending on your job, obviously, and your qualifications. Obviously, you need a degree and what your job is. This is the 5-minute chart here. How's the weight limit for A&G? Well, you're talking about aviation or non-aviation? It depends. It's all they do your body mass, your BMI. How strict were they? Very strict. It took me 6 months to finally pass weight because I was 248 pounds, and despite the fact that I had 19.5-inch arms and I could bench press 415, they said I was fat. I was like, dude, you could see my abs. I'm not fat. But they wouldn't pass me. So it took me 6 months to lose weight. I had to lose 30 pounds for them to actually enlist me into the military. So they don't care about muscle. They don't care about any of that. They care about BMI. Taking too much trend. Do you happen to know if reserve lets you choose where you are stationed? The reserve, no, you could. The reserve should be the same way. Your same state unit. You go whatever your unit is and you sign up. PJ training was like BMI 23. Yeah. Well, PJ's different. PJ's, they're the beasts of the Air Force. They're pretty much the top tier of the Air Force. So you have to be in phenomenal shape. I'll tell you this. We had a dude when I went to boot camp, we had a guy in our unit that was going to be a PJ. He was so fast and so fit, they made him run his PT test by himself because everyone was getting in his way. They wanted to see how fast he could do it. So they let him take his PT test alone while we all sat there, and all 500 of us sat there and watched him. He ran a mile in like 4 minutes and 40 seconds or something, and he could bench press 300 pounds. He was an absolute unit. Basic flight was all PJ trainees. Yeah. Reserves, you pick your unit MOS. Yeah, that's the way you do it. You don't sign up for the Air National Guard and let them put you in a place like the active duty does. You pick your unit, your job. Like you go and interview like you would a normal civilian career. You interview, you pick your job. Say, hey, do you want to be a medical trooper? Do you want to be a pilot or whatever it is? You interview for it. You board for it, and then once they selected, then you get selected. You sign the contract, and you go to training. With big Air Force, you don't. You sign the dotted line, you go into the Air Force, and after you go through basic training, you get your job. Would I go back in the Air Force? 100%. Absolutely. It's been the best career ever, man. I love it. I thoroughly enjoy being military aviation. It's the best career ever. I would have done it earlier. That's my only regret, is I would have done it straight out of college instead of wasting time trying to be an accountant. How competitive is aviation? Very. The only reason I got selected was the fact that I scored perfect scores on my AFOQT. That's the only reason why they took me. So it's very competitive. Yeah, perfect. And I had a recommendation. I received a reward from the Department of VA that helped me. So I received a commendation back in 2009 because I pulled a couple of dead bodies out of a house after a tornado. And they gave me a medal for it. So that, with the scores, pretty much I was a shoo-in for it. Would you say ANG gets deployed more often? No. Mm-mm. You do your rotation. Now it all depends on your career field too. If you're a F-16 pilot, you're going to be deployed probably every 6 months. But a normal position in the Air National Guard, now about once every 5 or 6 years, they deploy that unit. Yeah, and then of course you could volunteer for it. Well, if you're single with no wife and no kids and you want to go deploy all the time, I mean, there's always opportunity. You could deploy nonstop if you want. My son wants to join the military to either be an X-ray tech or a nurse. Which branch do you think is best? Air Force. It depends. Do you want your son to stay in a 5-star hotel, or do you want to stay in a tent? Do you want him to eat crayons? Or does he already eat crayons? A couple of different questions. I'm just kidding. It's a little military joke. Living in Oklahoma and hoping never have to pull anything out of tornado damage. Yeah, it was terrible. That was an interesting day. I was 2009. I decided I want to chase a tornado. Got a little too close and saw a lot of death. What branch of the military is best for those who eat crayons? Military. Military. Or Marines, I'm sorry. Apparently I eat crayons too. Marines. When this is what you were talking about, going through supply, yeah, right here is where I'm looking for. Right here. So about 435.5. Live in Canada's never seen a tornado? Really? I figured everyone's out there seen one. All right, we got some green coming up into this area here. A couple more minutes, I'm going to call it a day. Why is CVD going more red? I don't know. Sellers, the aggregate there. Let me take a look at it. Don't pay attention to my value. Mine reset at the wrong time. But we're still creeping down on sellers here. But, man, NVIDIA's going nuts. Amazon recovered most of their losses. Tech recovered a lot of it. Google is up 1.54%. Apple's still holding. I'm an Air Force vet that lived in many a tent city. There you go. Now, if you're talking about a forward operating base, yeah, absolutely, you're going to live in a tent. But on TDYs and stuff, trainings. Do I still play guitar? Yes, I do. More of a hobby, though. I'm not really good at it. I can play a couple of songs, but... $43.80. Microsoft is 15 points off all-time highs. Yeah. I kind of talked about that last week, is the fact that even with all the selling we experienced, is that all the tech is still glued right up against all-time highs pretty much, a couple of points off of it. So they never felt they were relatively strong compared to everyone else. Obviously, they still sold off too, but we only had like 1 or 2 days where tech was big red throughout all that crap. I'm talking like 3-4% red. Yeah. If it makes its way through supply, what's the next stop? Good question. So if we do get through supply, oh man, stupid trading view drive me nuts. I had all my pivots out here. 1 second. R4, which is about 137.5. So 4,400 test today? It looks likely, man. I don't know. CVDs continue to fall. Prices climb. Just means they're getting absorbed. It means they could expect a sharp move up or down. I guess the seller stop breaking. Yeah, so the aggregate, I mean, even look at this. You see the aggregate is still going down, CVD. So the sellers are still doing their thing here. They're still holding the thing on the thing. So definitely not what you're looking for if you do want this thing to blast off. This is a little too much pressure here. Do you have any affiliate codes for Trading Ticks? I do have an affiliate code. I've been told that it doesn't really do anything for you. I mean, I'll be happy to give it to you if you want, but I don't think it provides you any value. I need to contact them about that. I'm not affiliated with Trading Ticks in any way. I have a link on my account. Anyone trade multiple prop accounts on a Mac with trade bots? I don't know. If anyone does, let Jet Placard know. Feels like algo-driven baby stair stepping higher. Yep. So look at the volume. Like, you see how the volume completely changed? We went from this choppy crap, and the volume hit on that candle, and we're shifting higher so slowly. So far, is this a low volume you want entering supply? So far, yeah. This is what I want to see. Now, we need to get into this level here before we do that. We need to retest this pivot before we actually make that analysis. Now, for anyone who held that or heard that conversation earlier, multiple time frame analysis is the true way to confirm this. So now we're doing this on the 15. The higher the time frame you see that on confirmed, the more confident the move. So going to the 15, if I see this type of price action where we pivot off of it and don't have a volume spike and then we bounce, that's a high volume move to go even higher. So the higher the time frame, the higher the confidence. The lower the time frame, the lower the confidence. Meaning I'm not going to take a high position size based on a 5-minute confirmation. A high position size is going to be confirmed on the 15, 30, 60-minute charts, that type of thing. And I'm also going to hold longer too for those higher time frames. I'm tired of this short 1 million shares. Nice, Robert. Nice. Little Robert Pelosi over here. I just opened an account with IBKR Pro. Do you have a recommendation for a real-time options data bundle? I'd have to look at exactly what it's called, but you want to get the CME market real-time data, and you'll see it. It's like 24/7. You'll see the description of it. If you blast through on high volume, though, is it a valid move up? Well, it depends. Is that buyers, and do we get a top wick? So that's that volume and price action combo. If it blasts right on through, and we have no top wick, and it confirms the secondary hold, then yeah, it'll be just fine. But I do not want to see a spike in sell pressure up here. I'm hungry. CVNA daily estimated negative 0.7. Man, look at that. They rocketed. Carvana. Man, they had a 50% drop since September. And then rocket ship. Good gosh. So a 49ers football defensive end shared a picture of his check. He makes $393,000 a game, of which he gets to take home 194. So 50% of it, more than 50% of it goes to taxes. Wow. Here, I'll put a picture in here. Look at that. You're welcome, Nikki. Hope it helps. We should pay firefighters and nurses that much. I'll tell you what, man. Watching the nurses go what they went through in 2020, the ones that weren't making TikTok videos, the ones that were actually working, crazy. Like it destroyed Mrs. OM. That's why I left Cali ages ago. Well. Oh, man. All right, y'all. I'm gonna call that a day. Cali would be the perfect spot to live being a day trader. Start early, finish early, enjoy life, but I'll never pay those taxes. Yeah. Look, you see what Jeff Bezos is doing? Jeff Bezos is moving from Seattle, Washington to Florida because they just passed a law about capital gain. They just raised their capital gains tax. So he said it would increase his like $40 million a month in taxation. So he's moving. Yeah, it did, Kevin, for sure. Thought us to be with family. No, I mean, he posted that it was because of or somebody posted about him that it was because of the taxation law they changed. He said it was to be with family, though. Yeah. All right, y'all. A little bit of a choppy day here after a phenomenal pre-market move and a phenomenal week's move. Some positive, some negative for the week. Not the best week for me. Didn't play it anywhere close to being good. But hey, there you go. No excuses. Play like a champion. Hope you learned a little something this week. Good conversation today. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Hit me up in the DMs. Hope you'll enjoy some Fortnite today and this weekend. But yeah, have a great, fantastic rest of the weekend. I'll see the Tier 2 members Sunday night for our weekly game plan. And then after that, we'll go off into the next week and start another week off. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I'm out. See ya.